Have you ever looked at your partner and wondered how on earth you ended up here? Like some invisible hand quietly guided your choices long before you understood them. Have you ever asked yourself why you keep getting drawn to the same type of person, even after you promised you would never repeat that story again? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about one of the most personal questions you can ask, because it touches your heart, your history, your destiny, and the way karma moves through everyday life. Why you marry who you marry. Not only who you fall for, but who you commit to, who you build a home with, who becomes the mirror you wake up to every morning. And I want to say this clearly from the start so we do not get lost in fantasy or blame. The point is not to judge your past choices or to label your partner as your mistake. The point is to understand the hidden pattern beneath your choices, because when you see the pattern, you can finally change it. When you change the pattern, you heal karma. When you heal karma, your destiny becomes lighter. Here are the two main ideas we will carry all the way through this story. First, most people do not choose a spouse only with conscious logic. They also choose with their nervous system, their childhood conditioning, and the parts of them that are still trying to complete an old emotional lesson. Second, marriage can either become a loop that repeats the past or a practice that transforms the past, depending on whether you bring awareness, wisdom, compassion, and real responsibility into the relationship. Now let me tell you a story, because this is one of those topics that becomes real only when you can feel it in an actual life. In this story, there is someone named Rachel. Rachel is not naive. She is capable, thoughtful, and she has done what many people do when they want a better life. She studied, she worked, she built independence. She told herself she would never tolerate the kind of unhealthy dynamic she saw growing up. She promised herself she would choose love that felt safe. And then she married someone who felt familiar in the worst way. Not because he was evil, not because he was intentionally cruel, but because he carried a pattern that matched something unfinished inside her. His name in this story is Daniel. At the beginning, Daniel felt like stability. He was confident. He was decisive. He seemed to know what he wanted. He made plans. He spoke with certainty. Rachel had grown up in a home where the adults were emotionally unpredictable. Some days were warm. Some days were cold. Some days her parent would be affectionate. Other days they would disappear into silence. Rachel learned early that love could change without warning. So when she met Daniel and felt his certainty, her body relaxed. That relaxation felt like love. This is where the first hidden truth enters. Sometimes you do not fall in love with the person. You fall in love with the nervous system relief they create. Daniel did not have the same emotional style as her parent, but he had the same energetic signature. He had a way of setting the emotional weather in the relationship. When he was calm, the house felt calm. When he was irritated, everyone adjusted. Rachel did not notice it at first because her childhood trained her to adjust automatically. She was good at reading mood. She was good at preventing conflict. She was good at making things smooth. Those skills helped her survive childhood. Those skills also quietly shaped her marriage. After the wedding, life became ordinary. Bills, chores, work stress, family events. Nothing dramatic. But gradually Rachel started feeling smaller. She started noticing that when she expressed a need, Daniel became defensive. When she cried, Daniel got uncomfortable and withdrew. When she asked for more connection, Daniel said she was too demanding. When she was happy, Daniel was fine. When she was struggling, Daniel treated her emotions like a problem. Rachel began doing what she always did. She tried to be easier. She tried to be more patient. She tried to ask in a softer way. She tried to make her needs smaller so they would be easier to swallow. And this is where karma shows up in marriage. Karma is not only some distant cosmic story. Karma is the momentum of your coping strategies. Karma is what happens when your old survival skills keep running your life, even when you no longer need them. Rachel married who she married because Daniel matched an old equation in her body. If I am careful, love stays. If I do not ask too much, love stays. If I manage the mood, love stays. If I perform well, love stays. That equation was not a thought. It was a nervous system rule. So when Daniel reacted defensively, Rachel did not think, "This is not okay." Her body thought, "This is familiar. This is normal. This is what love costs." Now, let us pause and speak to you directly, because some of you are hearing your own story in this already. A lot of people marry a person who matches their childhood emotional climate, even if they swear they will not, even if they consciously want something different, because the nervous system is drawn to familiar patterns, the way a compass is drawn to north. Familiar can feel safe even when it is painful. So, how do you marry who you marry? You marry what your nervous system recognizes. You marry what your unhealed wounds call home. You marry what matches your hidden beliefs about love. But there is another side. You also marry what your soul needs to learn. And that is where the story becomes more hopeful. Because if Rachel's marriage is karmic, it is not karmic as a punishment. It is karmic as a lesson that wants to complete. The lesson is not to suffer. The lesson is to awaken. Rachel reaches a point where she cannot ignore her own unhappiness anymore. One night, she is lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and she realizes she has not felt emotionally safe in months. Not physically unsafe, emotionally unsafe. Unsafe to be fully herself. Unsafe to express sadness without being dismissed. Unsafe to speak needs without being labeled needy. She whispers a question that is both painful and powerful. Is this what marriage is supposed to be? That question cracks the old family spell. The spell that says love is endurance. The spell that says you should be grateful someone stayed. The spell that says emotional hunger is childish. Rachel starts reading and listening. She learns about attachment patterns, how people with anxious tendencies often pair with people who withdraw, creating a chastened distance loop. She learns about how childhood shapes adult love. She learns about boundaries. She learns about emotional responsibility. She learns that compassion without boundaries becomes self-destruction. Then she sees something that changes the way she thinks about karma. Karma is not only who you meet. Karma is who you become when you meet them. If Rachel stays asleep, the marriage stays a loop. If Rachel wakes up, the marriage becomes a classroom that can lead to transformation, either together or apart. So she tries something different. She stops hinting. She stops swallowing. She stops using silence to keep peace. She speaks clearly to Daniel. She says, "I want to be close to you. I want this marriage to feel like partnership. But when I share feelings, you dismiss them. When I ask for connection, you defend. I need emotional presence and respect. I need us to learn how to talk without punishing each other." Daniel reacts the way many people react when the mirror is held up. He gets defensive. He says he works hard. He says he provides. He says Rachel is never satisfied. He says she is making problems. Rachel feels the old pull to collapse and apologize. But she has begun a new practice. She pauses. She breathes. She stays steady. She says, "I am not asking for perfection. I am asking for responsibility. If we cannot talk respectfully, We will keep suffering. I do not want that. I am willing to work on this. Are you willing to? This is the hinge point where karma can become destiny, because willingness is the difference between repeating and transforming. Daniel is quiet. Then Daniel does something Rachel did not expect. He admits he does not know how to handle emotions. He admits he grew up in a home where feelings were mocked. He admits he learned to shut down. He admits he feels ashamed when Rachel is upset because he does not know what to do. And shame turns into defensiveness. This moment matters, not because confession fixes everything, but because it brings truth into the room. And truth is where awakening begins. Now, their story could go into directions, and I want to speak about both because some of you will recognize one and some the other. In the first direction, Daniel becomes willing to grow. They go to counseling. They learn communication skills. Daniel learns to stay present. Rachel learns to regulate her anxiety and speak needs without chasing. They practice repair after conflict. Over time, the marriage becomes warmer. In the second direction, Daniel refuses. He says he will not change. He says Rachel is the problem. He punishes her for speaking. He mocks therapy. He escalates control. In that case, the karmic lesson for Rachel may be leaving. Not leaving in hatred, but leaving in wisdom. Either way, the lesson is the same. Rachel is learning to stop abandoning herself. That is the karma behind why she married who she married. Now, let me expand the lens. Because marriage choices are not only about childhood, they are also about identity. Some people marry the person who makes them feel more valuable. Some people marry the person who makes them feel more normal. Some people marry the person who makes them feel chosen. Some people marry the person who makes them feel rescued. And each of those can be either healthy or unhealthy depending on the hidden need beneath it. Let me tell you another story that shows a different angle. In this story, there is someone named Marcus. Marcus grows up feeling invisible, not abused, not abandoned, just overlooked. His parents are busy, his siblings are loud. Marcus becomes the quiet one. He learns that to be loved he must achieve. He becomes excellent. He becomes the person who impresses. He builds identity through success. As an adult, Marcus meets someone named Vanessa. Vanessa is glamorous. Vanessa is admired. Vanessa is socially powerful. When Marcus is with Vanessa, he feels seen by association. People treat him differently. Friends say he is lucky. Marcus feels upgraded, so he marries Vanessa, not because he is shallow as a person, but because his wound is hungry for visibility. After marriage, Marcus discovers Vanessa is emotionally cold. She cares about appearances. She dismisses his feelings. She uses criticism as motivation. Marcus starts feeling small again, but now he also feels trapped because leaving would mean losing the image. This is another karmic pattern. When you marry for identity, life will eventually test whether you can live without that identity. If you are willing, the marriage teaches you self-worth that is not dependent on status. If you are unwilling, you keep performing unsuffering. Marcus eventually reaches a point where he cannot keep living for image. He begins inner work. He realizes he married Vanessa because he wanted to be seen. He also realizes he never learned to see himself. The karmic debt is not Vanessa alone. The karmic debt is his own self-abandonment. And here is the spiritual twist. Sometimes you marry someone who cannot give you what you want because you are meant to learn how to give it to yourself first, not because you should never need others. Healthy love includes support, but when your need is actually a wound demanding rescue, no partner can fill it permanently. They can only reveal it. This is why relationships can feel so faded. They bring you face to face with yourself. Now let us go deeper into the idea of 3 types of karmic forces that influence who you marry. I will explain them as lived experiences rather than labels. One force is unfinished emotional learning. You keep choosing what repeats the familiar lesson until you learn it. If you grew up with inconsistency, you may marry inconsistency until you learn boundaries. If you grew up with criticism, you may marry criticism until you learn self-respect. If you grew up with emotional neglect, you may marry someone unavailable until you learn to stop chasing. Another force is complementary wounds. Two people meeting, their wounds fit together like a lock and key. One person chases, the other withdraws. One person controls, the other submits. One person rescues, the other collapses. It can feel like chemistry, but it is often a trauma bond pattern. And trauma bond does not have to mean extreme violence. It can mean a nervous system addiction to unpredictability and relief. The third force is soul growth through partnership. Two people meeting, their values align. They are not perfect. They still have triggers, but they are willing. They practice. They repair. They choose compassion and accountability. This is where marriage becomes a path of awakening rather than a loop of suffering. Now, I want to talk about how you can tell which force is shaping your relationship without turning your life into a diagnosis. Look at the fruit. Does the relationship make you more honest or more fearful? Does it make you more compassionate or more resentful? Does it make you expand or shrink? Do you feel safe to speak truth? Is there repair after conflict? Do actions match words over time? Are both people willing to grow? If the fruit is chronic anxiety, chronic self-doubt, chronic walking on eggshells, and no real change, you are likely in a karmic loop. If the fruit is steadiness, mutual respect, and gradual growth, you are likely in a healthier destiny path. Now, back to Rachel, because her story holds a key many people miss. Rachel realizes something about marriage that changes her entire approach. Marriage is not only about choosing the right person. Marriage is also about becoming the right person to meet reality with wisdom. Because even if you marry someone wonderful, you will still face stress, boredom, conflict, illness, money issues, family pressure, and life changes. The question is not whether problems appear. The question is whether you handle them consciously or unconsciously. Rachel begins practicing a simple daily discipline. When she feels triggered, she pauses. She names the feeling. She asks what she is afraid of. She asks what childhood story is being activated. Then she speaks from the adult part of herself rather than the child part. This is spiritual practice in real life, not incense, not fantasy, presence. Over time, Rachel notices her power returning, not power over Daniel, power over her own response. And that is the moment destiny shifts, because when you stop reacting from old wounds, you stop attracting the same outcomes. Now let me share a story from someone around me, not as a claim about my own life, but as a pattern I have seen in many people. There was a man named Adrian who kept choosing partners who needed saving. Every girlfriend had a crisis. Every relationship started with Adrian being the hero. He provided money, advice, emotional labor. He felt valuable. Then, months later, he felt exhausted. He felt used. He felt resentful. The relationship ended and he blamed the other person. But the pattern repeated. Eventually, Adrian realized he was not only choosing them, he was choosing the role. He married someone who also needed saving. And in marriage, the saving became suffocating. His spouse relied on him for everything, and he became bitter. The karmic lesson was not about finding a stronger spouse. The karmic lesson was learning that being needed is not the same as being loved. Once he learned that, his whole life changed. He stopped rescuing. He started choosing partners who were responsible. He started choosing mutuality. This is a huge reason why people marry who they marry. They marry a role they learn it early. Caretaker, hero, victim, provider, fixer, pleaser, controller. If you do not become aware of your role, you will keep auditioning for it in love. Now, I want to speak to those of you who feel regret about who you married. Regret can become poison or it can become wisdom. If you use regret to punish yourself, you stay stuck. If you use regret to learn, you grow. Ask yourself, what did I believe love was when I chose this person? What did my body recognize as familiar? What wound was trying to complete? What role was I playing? What did I avoid facing in myself by choosing this relationship? These questions are not to blame you. They are to free you, because freedom begins when you see. Now, let us talk about destiny, because people often fear that if karma shaped their marriage, they are doomed. You are not doomed. Karma is not a prison when awareness is present. Awareness is the key that opens the door. The moment you stop repeating, karma changes. So how do you stop repeating inside marriage? You practice boundaries. You practice honest communication. You practice emotional responsibility. You practice repair. You practice compassion that includes yourself. You practice letting go of control. You practice seeing your partner as a human, not a savior, not a parent, not a project. You practice seeing yourself as whole, not as someone who must earn love through suffering. When you do that, one of two things happens. Either the marriage transforms because both people become willing, or the marriage completes because only one person is willing. And the most compassionate choice becomes distance or separation. Either outcome can be a form of awakening. Now let me close with a final story moment from Rachel because it captures the heart of everything. Months after their first serious conversation, Daniel has a rough day at work and comes home irritable. Old Rachel would have tried to fix it by being extra nice and silent. Old Rachel would have swallowed her own needs to avoid conflict. New Rachel does something different. She says, "I can see you are stressed. I care about you. I am here. And I also need respect in how we speak to each other. If you need space to decompress, take it, but do not use me as a target." Daniel pauses. He wants to snap. Then he remembers their work. He takes a breath. He says, "You are right. I am overwhelmed. I need 20 minutes. Then I will come back and talk." 20 minutes later, he returns. He apologizes. He speaks honestly. They connect. That moment is not small. That moment is karma transforming into destiny, because the old pattern would have been silence, resentment, and distance. The new pattern is honesty, boundaries, repair, and compassion. This is why you marry who you marry. Sometimes you marry the person who reveals your wound. Sometimes you marry the person who triggers your awakening. Sometimes you marry the person who mirrors your patterns, so clearly you can no longer pretend. And the deeper purpose is not to suffer. The deeper purpose is to become wise. Wise enough to stop abandoning yourself. Wise enough to love with boundaries. Wise enough to see patterns without hatred. Wise enough to choose the path that reduces harm. Wise enough to live with a clean heart. Now I want to end with a question that can guide you whether you are married, dating, divorced, or healing. Ask yourself, what is this relationship teaching me about awakening? Wisdom, karma, compassion, practice, and destiny? If you can answer that honestly, you are already on the path. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I want you to share your story in the comments in your own words. Have you noticed a repeating pattern in who you choose? Have you learned a lesson through love that changed your life? And if you are married, what lesson is marriage teaching you right now? If you want more conversations like this, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and stay connected by commenting so this community can grow together. I will see you in the next one.